Another main topic that we're going to talk on with the site is about secured credit cards. A lot of people will call them prepaid credit cards, and those are different than prepaid debit cards. The main difference being that this is actually a credit card. It's very similar that you're putting money on it first, so it's actually you're spending your own money, but you get a chance to build up some credit.
Right.
As opposed to the debit cards, which you cannot build.
Yeah, the
credit.
debit and the prepaid cards do not help you build credit, but the secured card, you do have to load some money on it, is what I'm hearing,
Right.
which is called, I believe, a security deposit.
Right.
But it actually reports your payments every month to the credit bureaus. And Shane, there are 3 major credit bureaus that our viewers need to be aware of: Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. And so those secured cards, make sure as you're looking for the best secured card to build or rebuild your credit, that you're looking for one that reports to all 3 of those major credit bureaus. And that's the quickest way to build or rebuild credit. And it's so important these days to have good credit. So much hinges on that. And so we're going to have a great section of the site, and we do have a section for secured cards on bestprepaiddebitcards.com, in addition to prepaid cards. And you know, we're going to have the same ratings and reviews, correct?
We'll have the same ratings and reviews. And some of the data fields may be a little bit different, you know, because there they talk about rates. You don't have rates with a debit card. But, you know, at the end of the day, we'll guide you towards the cards that will help you save money based on the way you use the card.
Now, this is a question I get a lot as a consumer advocate when it comes to secured cards, and this is a funny question, and it's a good question. I want to get your take on it. Secured card, I put money out of my own pocket in a bank account, and typically about $250 to start out with. That's my security deposit that we mentioned earlier.
Right.
Okay, the bank takes that, typically puts it in a savings account, and that becomes my credit line for that card. And so if I put in $250, my credit line on the new secured card is typically $250. But the interesting thing is typically secured cards, and even the good ones that are low fee, will charge you an annual fee. You want to avoid ones that are excess of $25-$40 a year. If it gets above that, stay away from it. But even the good ones are going to charge you a nominal annual fee in that range. But what frustrates some folks is that they're using their own money, okay, and so to provide that credit line for that secured card, then they're charging them an annual fee on top of that, and then they're charging them interest, which on a secured card interest rate is typically higher. You want to avoid interest rates above 20%, high teens for sure. But a good interest rate on secured cards is kind of mid-teens. But regardless, you're going to pay a higher rate. So their frustration of a lot of consumers is, well, I'm paying a higher rate, I'm paying an annual fee. Now you're not going to have all the fees that these prepaid cards do. I'm paying, I'm using my own money, and so you kind of feel like you're getting gouged. What's your response to that? I'm just curious, and that's some sentiment that I hear talking to folks all the time.
I can totally agree with that and understand that
the banks don't gouge.
No, of course not. The banks don't gouge. No, far from it. Actually, if you can be a bank, if you can own a bank, that's your job. That's a great job if you can get it.
But we digress.
But we digress.
Good point.
But unfortunately, that is the way it's structured right now, and that is kind of the way that you're going to have to more rapidly build up your credit score, is using a card like that. There are other ways of getting credit to help with your credit score. But it's kind of like I guess it's kind of like the price to pay to get in the game. It's kind of like you've got to buy the equipment. If you're going to play football, even Pee Wee football or something, you've got to go out and buy the helmet and the pads and to get ready, the cleats. Well, this is kind of that kind of fee, is you've got to pay to get started.
But the fees do vary in secured cards, so do shop around. And some of these secured cards, they're a lot better alternative than a regular credit card would be, that caters to people with bad credit. So secured cards, even though they're using your own money and charging an annual fee, The alternatives often are a lot worse, and I think that's what you're alluding to.
Right, the alternatives can
And
be
so-
worse.
And with you having bad credit, the banks, their response is being, well, we're taking a higher risk, so we got to charge you a higher rate, the fee. My counter as a consumer advocate, but you're using their money. He has a security deposit. That's basically like collateral.
Right.
But anyway, so that's the secured card section on bestprepaiddebitcards.com.